Now for Pittsburgh, Brandon Sutter, 9 goals on the season. He'll get the workload here tonight with the centers Malkin and Crosby out of the game. Greiss, his second appearance against the Jets. He's looking for his first win after the All-Star break in Buffalo. He went to the All-Star game, 6'5", 260. He's hot. Greiss is going to have to stop his 100-mile-an-hour shot.
Greiss 0-0-1, a .92 goals against, and a .954 save percentage in that one performance against the Winnipeg Jets. This guy has been horrible against the Penguins in his career. Ondrej Pavelec, 2-12-1, a 4.21 goals against, .870 save percentage. But Mike Johnston and everybody knows that Ondrej Pavelec is playing much better now than he had been. And so, no question, the Jets are much better under Paul Maurice. Defensively, they are one of the top teams in the league. And it starts in goal and right on out with the system that he's playing. And of course, they're scoring goals as well. And we're from the opening draw. A couple of righties take the draw. It's Sutter against Little, and the puck shot up into the stands right from the start here, Bobby.
Yeah, Bufflin with that funky blue stick. Got it right off the heel of that blue tape, Staggy, and threw it right into the bench. And I was just looking down at my notes to cross-reference. As I see Hornqvist on the ice, I wanted to see his last game. And of course, for Patrick Hornqvist, that was way, way back, Staggy, December 27th against the Washington Capitals. He was injured in that hockey game, taking a shot, and he's back. Good to see him back.
And he's playing on a line with Brandon Sutter and Bo Bennett. Bennett playing the left wing tonight. And the Winnipeg Jets, Dustin Byfuglien paired up with Ben Sherratt. Little, Wheeler, and Ladd, the forwards for the Jets to start the game, and their line is really good. They have scored a total of 48 goals between them. Now the Penguins move it ahead, and it's Kunitz paired up with Perron. David Perron down the wing. Fires it. He just missed on the stick side of Pavelec with a heavy shot. You heard it thump off the end wall. Perron has really been good for the Penguins since coming over.
In the absence, certainly, we talked about Sutter, but Perron's another guy that's going to have to continue to shoot the puck with regularity, as he was doing playing with Crosby. Going to be an ice here. Spalling playing center. Was tied up with Enstrom, and I love the stretch pass here against the Winnipeg Jets. The Penguins come out, use the stretch pass, get support. Bogosian steps up on Kunitz, then you throw it across, you get speed through that neutral zone with that great support. That's what the Penguins have to get going here right now, that quick transition through the neutral zone and take advantage of the Jets, who are really high flying right now. They're scoring a lot of goals, or they're trying to up the ante offensively, and maybe you can catch them a little bit in between.
By the way, Perron has 4 goals in 10 games against the Jets. He's got 5 goals in his 8 games with Pittsburgh. And 37 shots on goal. That last one not a shot registered, but it was a heavy shot that just missed.
Yeah. That won't be the first time you use the word heavy, Staggy. As you talk about this Winnipeg Jet hockey team, they played a heavy game against the Penguins back in November. One of the best games we saw all year, and they are a heavy team.
Like a lot of teams in the West, they match up very well. Now the Penguins on the attack, and the puck dumped in behind the net. Marcel Gottsch looked for it. He didn't find it. Gets over to the near wall, and the Jets try to get it out, but it's held in by Arcobello. Arcobello playing with Gottsch and Downey, and Arcobello with it. Looking for his first goal as a Penguin. Looks for Downey, but it's cleared away now and carried by Evander Kane to Dave Lowry. Make that Adam Lowry, the son of Dave Lowry. And now he looks to center it, but it's broken up by Peluso and taken by the Penguins. And Steve Downey starts out now for Pittsburgh to center. Puck is dumped to the corner. Andrew Ebbett getting in after it. Penguins worked extremely hard in that game against Chicago, the final game before the All-Star break. One of their better games all year. Chris Letang with it at the right point, shoots it up into the glove of Pavelec, and he'll hold on for a face-off. Take a look at our barrel leaders, and Chris Kunitz has more points than anybody with Sid and Gino out of the lineup. Amazingly, the Penguins are 8-0-1 in their last 9 games without both Sid and Gino in the lineup. That's an amazing accomplishment.
It really is when you think of it, and you have to have everybody working, pulling together, and you got to have great goaltending. Thomas Greig's going to have to provide that tonight against the hot Jet team.
Zach Bogosian with it. For Toby Enstrom. Head down to Peluso. He dumps it in. Penguins able to quickly move it as Bortuzzo, who played maybe his best game as a Penguin against the Hawks prior to the break, moved it out. Bortuzzo across the ice now, handles it in his own zone. I know, Bob, you were impressed with his performance as we watched the game between the Penguins and the Hawks.
I like everything about it. Decision making, is joining the rushes defensively. I mean, he showed a lot of confidence, Robert Bortuzzo. That's what you like to see. Guys come into the lineup and right away have an instant impact.
Sherratt's long lead pass off the stick of Blake Wheeler and then cleared by Paul Martin back to center ice. And it's Little with it now. To the left wing and Andrew Ladd. Ladd dumps it in around to the right side. Byfuglien moved up, skated right past the puck. Letang moves it out. Byfuglien's got to get back. Wheeler's covering for him right now. And you can bet that if Byfuglien moves up, somebody's going to be covering under Paul Maurice. Here's Chris Letang closing in, shooting in the save by Pavelec. Loose puck. Oh, Pavelec got over, scrambled over to prevent Perron from finishing it off. And he just could not finish the play going to the net. And now the Jets on the attack at the other end. It was Bo Bennett who went to the net and crashed into the end boards. And from my vantage point, couldn't tell what happened there with Pavelec scrambling over towards that loose puck.
They just tried to get the pool cue on it, unable to get it by Pavelec, and Penguins trying to take advantage of Byfuglien, who was thinking offense there on a little set play for the Jets.
Now it's Spalling with it. Into the middle for Perron, coming to the goal. He shoots and he missed the goal. Boy, Perron getting himself free too. Some beautiful moves, and you know he likes to channel Alexei Kovalev, and we've seen a lot of shifty moves from David Perron since he came over. He's not just a goal scorer, is he?
No, great example of him using his edges, but coming in off the off wing, right shot, coming down the left side, moving in the middle of the ice. And we've seen David Perron score a lot of goals from the middle of the ice for the Penguins. His last, well, it was 5, all from the middle. Here's the first chance as the puck is shuffled towards Pavelec. Here's the rebound. There's Bo Bennett trying to get it towards Pavelec. Didn't really get the shot in there. And there's Perron moving to the center of the ice. And Pavelec staying with him.
Wow. The 3 Jets were back and none of them could stop him. He almost scored a highlight reel goal there.
Yeah, he's already got one of those this year as the Penguins splitting the defense. And he almost had another one there. Really good getting to the middle of that ice.
He looked like Joey Mullen, slippery Joe Mullen going through there. And we get an icing call. And take a look at some of the goals that David Perron has scored for the Penguins.
Yeah, really all in the middle of the ice there. That's his first one, the setup by Crosby off a face-off. He picks up another one. Feed from Kunitz. There's a rip shot on a power play, and then there's that highlight reel goal I was talking about against the New York Rangers. So there's his chart. Gold as Penguins, black as a member of the Edmonton Oilers for David Perron, who's got 10 on the season.
Jets control the draw. Kane's sharp angle shot was blocked by Ehrhoff. Kane got it back and moved it behind the net. Centering pass by Thorburn, looking for Adam Lowry in front. It comes right back to Thorburn. And out to the point where Trouba fires to the goal, blocked in front. And a shot by Kane also blocked. Penguins defending the house there. And none of the shots by the Jets were able to get through onto Thomas Greiss. 2 shots for the Penguins, 1 for the Jets so far this game. Big hit down there on the near wall. Steve Downey throwing his body into a man, and he and Kane push and shove a bit as the Penguins come to center. There were 4 altercations, 3 fights officially in the first meeting between these 2 clubs back on November 6th.
Yeah, Dupre and Kane, Lowry, Adams, Sill, and Trouba all fought.
Slater fires one wide. Enstrom gets over there and backhands it back down the wall. Scuderi able to pick it off on the boards and move it ahead for Zach Sill. Sill picked up a goal in that game against the Blackhawks. Now behind the net, his first goal as a Penguin, first NHL goal. Now a battle on the near wall, and Dupre sends it back and around. Dupre's only goal this year came against the Winnipeg Jets in that November 6th game. Here's Peluso with it now, and he gave it away to Zach Sill, who's able to drag it back out to center ice. Now Bogosian gave it away. Oh my goodness, that was a good chance there for Adams, and Pavelec just got back to stop the shot for Craig Adams after a giveaway by Zach Bogosian. Bogosian's got it again. The Jets just seem to have issues here in Pittsburgh at turning pucks over, and Dustin Byfuglien's a -16 in his career against the Penguins. Penguins have had a lot of big high-scoring wins against the Jets during this 13-game winning streak. Here's Ladd with it, trying to center. Byfuglien moves up. Byfuglien turning the cage, trying to walk in front, and he's checked at the last second before he could pull the trigger. Then Wheeler's backhand pass from behind the net goes all the way up to the other end of the ice.
A couple of chances there for Byfuglien. He's moving up. He's a defenseman. He's played forward in his career, won a cup as a forward with the Chicago Blackhawks, and he's moved back to the defense position right now for the Jets. And they're liking his calculated game this year. They've insulated him a little bit better, and he had a great opportunity.
This is Perron again. Perron dangling. Scores! He centered it right in front. Drilled into the net by Nick Spaling. Spaling gets his first goal in 14 games. And it's a 1-0 Pittsburgh lead.
Well, Perron has really picked up the slack here. We talked about guys having to step up, and Perron has been quick, visible, every opportunity. Another stretch pass for the Penguins. Letang to Hornqvist, or to Perron, and when he put that to the front of the net, you could see Spaling went there. I wasn't sure if he got the stick on it or Bo Bennett hit it as well. They may have both got it. Right in that middle part of the ice, right in front, as the Jets left two sticks wide open in front of Pavelec.
We'll see who gets the goal, but Perron again, and he had me mesmerized. I was just looking at him as he was able to draw all the attention again. Quick shot down low, stop, rebound, up to the near wing, and down he centers. Taken there by Michael Frolik, and he'll steam back down for the Jets to center and dump it behind Rob Scuderi. Matthew Perreault trying to get in after him. But the Penguins quickly go the other way. And it's dumped back into the Winnipeg zone, and both teams able to shuffle the deck here.
Wow, what a great start here for Pittsburgh. And Perron has just been flying in this hockey game.
You got to be impressed. It's just a phenomenal acquisition for the Penguins. David Perron. He just seems to be in a perfect spot for him, Bob. I know some players just seem to fit in with certain teams. It seems like he's the perfect fit.
And he wants to prove that he can play with whoever his centerman in here is tonight. Look at him just using his edges. There's no skating. There's no turnovers. And there is the pass with good pace as well, so that Spaling can just shuffle it in behind Pavelec. A good play there. Perron using all edge work in the offensive zone.
So Spaling does get the goal, his 7th of the season. Playing in the middle tonight with Kunitz and Perron. Spaling, of course, has been a left winger most of the time, but he is a center by trade. We invite you to tweet us at Root Sports Pit using the hashtag PensBooth. Send your comments, questions, and pictures of your backyard rinks, if you would. Should be plenty of those out there right now, although you better have a crew to shovel them off. All brought to you by Point Park University.
And nice to have that versatility of Nick Spaling. You don't have Dupuis. You got a guy like Spaling can play fourth line left wing. You can play first line center. What a season he's having. It's been quiet, but it's been real good.
Sill tried to drag the puck down the wing. It's poked by Lowry back to center. Adam Lowry, an interesting story, a son of Dave Lowry, 6'5". Here's a shot now by Adams, and a blocker save made. Rebound, Martin, a drive, and that one deflected wide of the goal. Bengals getting good looks at the net. They've got 5 shots now on goal. A couple of missed shots are good looks. And the Jets with only 1 shot so far on Thomas Greiss. And there goes Letang taking off out of his own zone. And the puck out of play on the Penguins bench. Spaling gets his 7th from Perron and Letang at 7:09, and the Penguins lead it.
Yeah, there's Chris Letang, picked up an assist, his 200th of his career. After that hit from Ronaldo, there's a stretch pass to Perron. And watch Perron right from here, glide, angles, edges, tape to tape, and there it is. So great play by Letang. Another great defenseman, Byfuglien, right beside the Penguin bench. He reached over and spoke to the bench here during that last timeout and said, sorry about that puck on the opening faceoff, guys. They had to all duck. And that's, you got to be aware, Stanky. First game after that all-star break, you got to be aware.
Keep that tanned face of yours up. Who are you, Bob?
That tanning bed in the basement.
Now the Jets drive the puck into the Penguin zone. Nick Spaling getting the goal for the Penguins to give them the lead, and looking structured again here tonight as they did against Chicago. Byfuglien just blew a tire over there on the far side, and the puck stays on the sticks of the Jets as it is Frolik sending it behind the net. Now Byfuglien just planted a Penguin there on the far boards. Sutter, I believe it is, trying to know, it's Downey trying to get it out.
Yeah, those two, they didn't get along too well in Winnipeg either, Staggy. Downey and Bufflin, man, did they,
This is Frolik centering, and fanning on the shot with Scheifele right on the doorstep, and busting back to center comes Arcobello. And he'll dump it behind Bogosian and get in after it. Following on is Downey. Arcobello keeps working. Went down and got back up, tried to center it, but now it's Scheifele with it. Excellent two-way centerman. Mark Scheifele, a first-round pick, sends it behind the net for Bogosian. He's under pressure. He sent it up the wall. Ehrhoff pinching down the boards against Frolik. Now Bogosian deep in his own zone. The Penguins really pressuring the D. This is what they did well against Chicago. They really got in on the forecheck, and they're causing problems right now for Enstrom and Bogosian. Kunitz and Perron. Now onto the ice comes Spalling out at center ice as he watches the Jets dump the puck into the Penguin zone and back to get it. Goes Spalling. Moves it along now for Robert Bortuzzo. Up the wing now for Perron. Now move to center ice. Hustling in after it is Nick Spalling. He's flying tonight. Spalling pulls up. Looks back. Kunitz with a shot. It's off a leg wide. Dupre gets to the puck. He looked for a spot there. He assumed someone was there and nobody was home, and it was Kane coming back now for the Jets. Shooting and a save by Greiss. The rebound loose. Trouba came to the net and tried to jam one in. Lowry was there as well, but the puck stayed out. Now Lowry bumped by Dupre. Perron works his own zone. Gets it up the left wing boards for Kunitz. And over now to Christian Ehrhoff. What a close call there. That turnover by Dupre resulted in a very good scoring opportunity, or two, for the Jets.
Yeah, Vander Kane coming from the right side to the left. Another guy going to the middle of the ice with his forehand and just sizzled that shot off the shoulder of Greiss.
They work the corner, and there's Adams getting the puck and moving it out to Dupre. Dupre's wrister deflected just wide. Ladd is hit hard on the near boards. Both players went down. The man who hit Ladd, and the man who hit him was his former teammate Craig Adams. Ladd, a first-round pick of the Carolina Hurricanes under Jim Rutherford. Now the puck to the goal is frozen by Andre Pavlik.
Oh, Vander Kane playing that good team game as well. Greiss with that shoulder stop. No rebound there for Lowry, who was fishing. Zach, we take one game off, Root Sports, you get yourself a goal, and then another backhand opportunity. When you find one, you're looking for more, aren't you?
Yeah, once you learn to shoot the puck a little bit more, some good things happen. So also just put everything on net, right?
Yep. And you guys had to talk about Malkin and Crosby being out of the lineup. What's the feeling here as you try to rally the team together?
Feeling's good. We went on the break, moving forward. So that's what we're going to try to do from now on here. Keeping things simple here in the first period, trying to get some good bounces.
Get some breath too.
Thanks.
Thank you. A lot of hard work there right now, but you can see these guys picking up the slack, Staggy. Guys like Sill and what a start for Spalling as well, and Perron.
Chance in front. Gott's trying to jam one in, and see how the Penguins are down around that net. And we heard Mike Johnston say today in his press conference, we want to get more touches in the paint and get to the net. And that's what the Penguins did against Chicago, and they're doing it again here against the Jets. Centering pass comes all the way through to Enstrom, pushes it to the goal, and a redirect attempt by Bogosian went wide of the net. Good hit down there by Bortuzzo on Scheifele, and then he was able to move the puck up the wall. Gotch couldn't get it out, but Arcobello does lift it to the line, and then it's forced back to center by Patrick Hornquist, who bumps Scheifele in the neutral zone, and now Enstrom takes it. Well, Zach Sill scoring his first NHL goal in his 52nd NHL game.
It's amazing though, Staggy. A guy like Matthew Perreault had a slow start this year, and all of a sudden he scores in bunches, so maybe Sill can do it.
Perron again. Looking so dangerous as he shot it off a shin pad. It comes to the near wall, and a battle for the puck. Perron is there again with Bo Bennett. Perron comes off the wall with it, ahead to Bennett. He's checked closely by Chris Thorburn, the former Penguin. Puck comes off the stick, and one of the Jets right to Scuderi, delivers it behind the net. And Bo Bennett turns the corner again. Bennett looks for a man who just came off the bench. It's Craig Adams. Near side to Dupre, and his shot off the stick of Bogosian. And Adam Lowry goes to get it, and he'll bank it off the boards and back into the Penguin zone.
Really good stuff here right now from the Penguins. That pack mentality, support in the offensive zone. Three guys there on that puck. They're winning battles and getting opportunities. Really outplaying the Jets right now.
Adam Lowry referred to this game today as a potential trap game for the Jets, and they knew that Malkin and Crosby weren't playing. He's a young kid, but he knows the game, doesn't he? From growing up, his dad playing in the NHL.
Yeah, 19 seasons, Dave Lowry.
Here's Grice lifting it up the wall, right on the stick of Chris Kunitz. He didn't get it out, though. Bufflin looking to tee it up, and it's shot off a stick wide. Taken now by Bortuzzo to the right wing, and Craig Adams.
Well, that shot hit Spalling on the way in, and Ehrhoff's out on the ice. He got hit by a shot on his second shift of the hockey game. That Bufflin shot, that's a tough one to stand in front of. You want to get up close to Bufflin, not be too far away, and don't turn sideways.
A lot of people were really excited to see Bufflin's shot in the hardest shot contest at the skills competition of the All-Star game. Here's Gotch with it, shooting, and that one glanced off of the goaltender Pavlik. Now it's taken in center ice and carried ahead now by left winger Andrew Ladd, offside are the Jets as they enter the zone.
A lot of opportunities here, partner. Gotch has had a couple of good ones as well. After he was scratched, Mike Johnson looking for more offense from him.
Nice to feel pretty good about the Penguins' 1-0 lead. And here's another reason to smile, Mike. In our UPMC Sports Medicine injury update, as we told you earlier, Sidney Crosby not on the ice tonight, but he did put in double duty earlier by working on the ice before the morning skate and then joined the boys for their session afterward. Crosby saying that he felt good but was not sure if he'll be ready to play tomorrow night against the Caps in our nation's capital. So we'll have to wait another 24 hours, but I kind of like the chances, guys.
Looking pretty good. Now Letang, who's back in the lineup tonight. We were concerned about how much time he would miss. Thankfully, not like the last time when he had a concussion after being hit by Max Pacioretty. He missed 21 games. This time he missed only one. And after being hit from behind by Zach Rinaldo, who received a 8-game suspension from the National Hockey League for his hit.
There it is, to the back of Letang, who had released that puck long before he was hit by Ronaldo. Ronaldo changed his course of action. Staggy hit him in the numbers.
Left his feet, too.
And Letang's head went into that glass. And glad to see him back in this game. 200 career assists for Letang. Got an assist on the Spalling goal.
Wheeler falls down, centers it, but right there in good defensive position was Hornquist. He moves it ahead to Bo Bennett, who banks it up into the corner. Brandon Sutter gets in after it. Sutter to the corner, controls the puck. And moved over to the near wall, racing over to get it is Bo Bennett. He collided there with Jay Harrison. Hornquist sent it around to the far corner where Brandon Sutter moves it out. And Letang reached for it, but Ladd was there as well to direct it. And it goes back into the Penguin zone. Letang goes to get it. The Jets are changing. They send Frolik, Perreault, and Scheifele onto the ice. Adams and Scheifele tangled up there, and the puck is pushed up into the Jet zone by Craig Adams. Now it's Zach Bogosian with it. Up the wing now for Matthew Perreault. Perreault went 21 games without scoring a goal this season. Now he has 15. 4-goal game under his belt recently. And he also was the recipient of a bad hit. Daniel Carcillo cross-checking him viciously on the arm. And he missed action, and Carcillo was suspended. Dupre sends the puck into the right wing corner. Andrew Ebbett gets in there after it. Good Zach Sill working there in the corner against Scheifele, trying to get body position, get to that puck if he can. But the Jets win the battle this time, and Bogosian moves it up the wing. Frolik sends it back to Bogosian. Bob, have you noticed the Jets having a little tougher time getting out of their own zone here?
Yeah, they can't find their legs at all right now. The Penguins are all over them. They came prepared to play this game. The Jets, after the break, sometimes takes you a while, and the Penguins have jumped all over them early.
Bortuzzo with it. He risks it in deep. Bogosian there. Kunis trying to reach around him to get to the puck. Now Thorburn sends it out for Perreault. Out in center. And it's Lowry now coming down the wing. Lowry backhands it to the goal, and Grice makes the save. Following on is Evander Kane, and he centers it through the paint. And it comes right to the Penguins' David Perron, who gives ground. Perron gets his feet moving. Able to get the puck out to center to Spalling. Now Evander Kane to the puck, and he'll wheel it up into the Penguin zone. Grice couldn't stop it. Racing over to get it is Anthony Peluso against Ehrhoff. Now Bortuzzo pokes it into the corner, and Jimmy Slater there. His pass for Kane was broken up smartly there in the defensive zone by Mark Arcabello. And taken now by Sherratt. And Sherratt on the blue line. Out on the right wing now for Matt Halischuk, and he'll direct it up into the Penguin zone. Giveaway here. Sherratt with a shot save. Rebound Halischuk. And blocked by Marcel Gotch, who knocks Halischuk down as the two of them converged on the puck. Gotch comes out of there with it. Excellent defensive work there by Gotch, but then he fanned on an attempt to get it up the boards, and there's Halachuk again in the corner. Gotch moves it up the wing, and now the Penguins bring it out of their zone. Latang lead pass to Arcobello. Arcobello looks for Gotch. Here he shouldn't take the pass. Thought he was going to one-time that puck, but it just didn't get through to him. Now Sherratt with it to center. He will dump it into the Penguin zone. Chris Letang goes back to get it with 1:49 remaining. Only 4 shots on goal for the Winnipeg Jets. They outshot the Penguins 37-35 in the last meeting between these two clubs in Winnipeg. And they have only 4 shots here in the first period.
Sutter won a battle to the face-off dot, negated the icing call. Now the Penguins have the puck in the O zone.
Little dropped it off right onto the stick of Brandon Sutter. Sutter, beautiful pass into the middle to Dupre. Dupre closing in. He shot it. It was blocked by Trouba, and then Dupre got to it and centered it. Great pass, Pavlik, but nobody home in front. And it's taken now by Rob Scuderi. Scuderi out for Kunitz. Softly drops it off to Spalling. And you can feel that Spalling, you see his skating more, Bob, as a centerman, don't you?
Yeah, you really do. He's able to, as a centerman. Look out here.
Here's Ehrhoff shooting, and that went high off the glass.
Yeah, those centermen, they get free reign to 200 feet to get their feet moving. A little more circling as well as they're supporting pucks. There's a big hit.
Kunitz on Enstrom, and then Kunitz took a hit from Trouba, who whacks him again with a stick. Those two jousting.
Oh man, Trouba with a two-hander right to the calf of Kunitz. He's looking for some blood himself.
Referees Mike Lego and Rob Martell not calling any penalties yet in this game.
Well,
and the Jets are the most penalized team in the league. The Penguins are second most.
Yeah, these two teams battled over 100 penalty minutes in that meeting November in Winnipeg, and we haven't seen a penalty yet in this one.
The Jets penalties have translated more, though, to shorthanded situations, more minors. Centering pass, directed wide of the net, and crashing into the goal was Patrick Hornquist, I believe, or was it? No, it was Arcobello, and he went to the net hard and went into the net, but the puck didn't.
There's going to be a penalty here on the Jets. Arcobello went head first, right by the goalpost and by the feet of the goaltender Pavlik. There's the feed by Downey, and the net goes off its moorings. They're a little bit lighter net this year.
Coming up in the intermission, brought to you by your neighborhood Ford store with Rob and Jay. Nick Spalling will visit with Dan Potash, flying in the first period and scoring the only goal. Now into the box goes Thorburn for dumping Arcobello as he went to the net. So there's one of those minor penalties we talked about. The Penguins go to work with a man advantage. UPMC Sports Medicine power play for Pittsburgh, and only 8 seconds to work with. They looked like they had control of the puck off the draw, but now Letang has to go get it at center ice. Moves it to the right wing to Hornquist. Hornquist ahead to Bennett, his shot. Goes over the goal and wide as the horn sounds, ending the first period.
8 shots for the Penguins, only 4 for the Jets. A real good start. They're up by 1. You'd love to see them come out with the fresh ice as they start the second period.
Let's just go to break right now, and the Penguins leading 1-0 through 20 minutes of play. Now they registered 9 shots on the board for Pittsburgh, 4 for the Jets. We'll return to Consol Energy Center in a moment.
Back at Consol Energy Center, the Penguins leading the Winnipeg Jets by the score of 1-0. Mike Johnson talked about the Penguins facing a very difficult, physical team in the Winnipeg Jets. None bigger, none more physical than Dustin Byfuglien. Staggy Bob rejoined us now for the second period, guys.
Yeah, he weighs at least 260. We don't really know what the actual weight is of Dustin Byfuglien, but Bob, how many times did we see the Jets come into town under Claude Noel and take chances and really get themselves burned against this high-scoring Penguin team? We saw Byfuglien move up a little bit in that period, but it seems like guys are watching for that too.
Yeah, they really are, and you have to insulate when he does that. The Jets have done it. There he is going on the left side of your screen. After distributing, he's joining the rush. He's a set play there from the neutral zone. There he is coming from his point position, pinching down the wall. Look how agile he is for a big man. Almost freed himself up there for a great opportunity. And there he is again, joining the rush offensively. So Dustin Byfuglien, who has played forward in his career, is playing defense right now. And that's what he's done against the Penguins. A -16. Yes, they have taken advantage of him moving up on plays in the past.
Tonight's face-offs are presented by the new face of Northwood Realty Services. And in the face-off department in that first period, the Jets pretty much dominated. 71% of the draws were won by the Jets.
No Crosby. Crosby takes more draws than anybody. And we'll see if they're going to kind of split that up here a little bit tonight. Spaulding might have to take a few.
Let's see what happens here on this Penguins power play. Still a lot of time left on the penalty to Thorburn. 1:42 seconds at the moment. And the Penguins with a man advantage. Bo Bennett, Patrick Hornquist, and Brandon Sutter up front. Paul Martin is back, along with Chris Letang on this power play. And Martin, Sutter. Letang wants the puck. He's got it. Feeds it to the corner. Hornquist will go get it. Up the wall now for Letang, but it's going to be cleared by Kane. Evander Kane getting it down the ice and then waving as he goes to the bench for replacements on the penalty killing unit. 1:06 to go on the penalty. Letang works it ahead. Sutter cuts in over the line. Bumped to the neutral zone, and Dustin Byfuglien takes off with it. Byfuglien fakes the shot around Martin, turns the cage. Never pulled the trigger, but he controlled the puck enough to kill the penalty a little bit more. He moved it back all the way into his own zone, where Jay Harrison finds Byfuglien again. Banks it ahead now for, not Harrison, Sherratt. Ben Sherratt just rifles the puck all the way down the ice, and back to get it goes Ehrhoff. Now for Letang.
Well, we just showed you Byfuglien moving up. He does it again, short-handed, killing a penalty, and then he just one-handed back to his defense partner.
Turning shot by Letang goes right through the slot under the stick of Chris Kunitz. Challenged there by Frolik. Kunitz brings it down low for Spaulding. 14 seconds left on the penalty, and the Jets able to clear.
Letang reached up, I believe, for that puck. He caught it right off the edge of his fingers, and he's shaking his hand as he comes to the bench.
Nifty play there by Perron to pull the puck away from Evander Kane and drop it off. Ehrhoff centers. Taken in the neutral zone by Dupre. He was hit hard in the neutral zone by Chris Thorburn. The puck in the Jet zone. Kunitz down the wall. Comes up on his backside. The puck to the corner. Kunitz back up on his skates. Centers it, and it goes off the stick of the goaltender Pavlik to the far side. Jets are back at full strength, and it's Adam Lowry on the left wing. He's got Thorburn going to the net. He scores. Chris Thorburn just driving to the goal. Steered it over Thomas Greiss. He just got out of the penalty box, and he scores to tie the game at 1.
It kind of reminds you a little bit of Downey. Not quite, but Downey came out of the box in Winnipeg, scored a goal. Now Thorburn, the ex-Penguin, he comes out of the box, beard and all, and there's kind of a 2-on-2, if you will, but he's able to just get by Chris Kunitz, who was out there at the end of that extended power play, and Thorburn was a little fresher, was able to drive down that slot. Great feed there, and Greiss was moving from right to left, and Thorburn went across the green, elevated that puck. Just a beautiful play by Thorburn, and well, they tied it up.
I'll tell you, Bob, if the Jets keep growing those beards and then take them right into the playoffs,
Yeah.
they're all going to have beards down to their waist.
Well, everybody else has got beards, so what do? Do you shave your beards at that point?
That's what I said today. Maybe you guys should be the team that shaves your beards in the playoffs. Because they're all growing them. Just take a look at their bench. Marcel Gotch pokes the puck to the corner. Thorburn, one of the really good guys, right, Bob? I mean, he still remembers his days here in Pittsburgh. He wasn't here that long, but he's always very polite and happy to see everybody that he worked with here in Pittsburgh.
And always fighting for a job, and knows that every shift could be his last one, and just works and works every day to become a better hockey player. Really good in front of the net, and he's one of those tough guys that can put in the odd goal like you just saw.
Originally drafted in the first round by the Buffalo Sabres. Now it's Dustin Byfuglien with it. He moves it up the wall for Andrew Ladd into the middle. He flips it, and Letang goes back forward with a little bearing down on him. Jets seem to have a little bit more hop in their step here in the second period.
You knew that was going to happen. They were going to go to the dressing room and said, hey, let's get the kill here, guys. Go from there. Yeah, they get the kill. The guy who's in the box scores the goal, his 5th of the season.
Dax Sill's going to fight Sherratt, taking exception to the fact that he hit Letang on the far board. Sherratt firing right hands. Sill now dragged him down to the ice a bit after losing his helmet, and now he'll be ushered to the penalty box. So Sill coming to the aid of Chris Letang there.
You don't want guys taking shots at anybody, let alone Chris Letang, who was just hitting his last hockey game. And you see him carrying the puck backwards across the blue line, and he's hit into the wall there. Kind of put himself in a tough position, and when he was hit into the boards again, that's where Zach Sill came over.
Well, Sherrod was the defenseman of the year for the Jets farm team in St. John last year. They played Wilkes-Barre in the conference finals. And so there's a lot of animosity, I would think, between players in the Penguins organization and the Jets organization who played against each other in that playoff series. Bo Bennett centers, and it goes right past Patrick Hornquist to the near side as Scuderi delivers it down low to the corner. Oh, it's taken by Patrick Hornquist, trying to get his legs under him after missing 11 games. Hornquist moves it up top now for Scuderi. He'll dump it to the corner. Bo Bennett trying to get around Harrison to the end boards. Trouba in there as well. Bennett comes out of the corner with the puck on his backhand. Try to move it to the corner. Dupre over to help out. Behind the net now for Sutter. Hornquist in front of the centering pass. Broken up. Sutter hustles over to get it again. Trying to play hard on the puck, but now it's brought back up the left wing. And look out here. Kane coming to the goal. And his shot was blocked. Putting his body down with Scuderi. He looks like he's been shaken up a bit by blocking that play.
Well, Kane scored a shorthanded goal in here last year. He's got that great speed, and when he's gone, he's gone. I know we're playing, we're even hockey right now, Staggy, but when he's gone, it's tough to catch him.
He's playing on a third line for the Jets. It's hard to believe. See the talent that he brings against Pittsburgh, that he's on a third line. Bufflin just fanned on a chance, going right down the slot. Bufflin brings it up top, finds Kane. Slater, a shot off the goalpost. Grace kept it out of the net. He's looking for it, and it's taken by Hornquist and cleared out of danger. Hallis shot on the wall, worked it to the corner. Hornquist back over to the far wall to get it. Excellent work by Patrick Hornquist, showing some little desperation there to keep that puck out of the goal.
The Penguins very fortunate here right now. And Bufflin missed a chance in the slot area, and the second opportunity went off a goalpost, went underneath Grice. He was unable to get a whistle as Slater ripped it off that goalpost. It kind of went around him. You remember in Philadelphia, he tried to keep a puck frozen, and it didn't happen in overtime, Staggy, on that 4-on-3. That was kind of reminiscent of that, but there was no Claude Giroux ready to put in a rebound there.
Bobby Enstrom back to the puck for the Winnipeg Jets. Hornquist in on the forecheck. Now he's going to go to the bench and be replaced as the Jets come to center. Blake Wheeler dumps it to the right wing corner. Andrew Ladd in after it against Christian Ehrhoff. And the Jets just seem to be playing with a lot more verve in their game. And now centering pass off the stick of Wheeler. Here's Bogosian with it. He tried to get it to the net. Turning and shooting is Wheeler, and the save made by Grace. And the rebound in on net by Little, I believe, on the backhand of the save made by Thomas Greiss. All of a sudden the Jets are peppering the Penguins goalie. And now Spaulding trying to get behind Bogosian. Those two get tangled up as the puck goes to the corner. And now Scheifele on it. Poked away from him by Kunitz. Kunitz shoots it. And a glove save by Pavlik on the short side. Sneaky little shot there by Kunitz.
Well, it's been a tough period for Chris Letang, coming off a tough game against the Philadelphia Flyers before the break. Tried to knock one down with his hand. He went off, and his next shift, he came back on the ice. He was hit from behind. That's when Zach Sill had to jump in there. There's a hit by Sherrod. So a tough period so far for Chris Letang, who's trying to carry the mail. Over 8.5 minutes in the first period for Chris Letang. 8:27 on 8 shifts.
Checking the ice times for the Penguin defense in that Philadelphia game, the last game we did. Paul Martin, 32 minutes and 49 seconds. There's Thorburn centering. A little backhand pass went through the slot. Out to the point now, taken by Bufflin. And across to Enstrom. Kane just fired it right through the goal mouth again. Over to the near wall. Taken there by Marcel Gottsch. His lead pass. And swooping over to pick it off is Bufflin. Big buff to Lowry. Now to Thorburn, and his shot is stopped by Grace. Harrison held it in for a moment. Adam Lowry able to work it in behind the net for Frolik. He's hit by Ehrhoff. Arcabello in his own zone. Up the boards for Gotch, and they team up to get the puck back to center ice. Credit to the Jets with only 3 shots here in this period. It seems like they've had more than that. Here's Trouba with it now to center ice into the Penguin zone. Ups it to the corner, and Letang back to get it. It's hit by Frolik. Letang reaching in, cross-checking Frolik, dumping him to get the puck. Now Bo Bennett with it on his off wing. He's hit after clearing the puck out to center by Scheifele, and the Penguins on the attack. Hornquist trying to get around Jay Harrison and took it away from him. Harrison sent it up the near wall. Frolik left it there for Scheifele. Now it's Trouba stepping up to the puck, and he'll backhand it up into the Penguin zone. Jets are changing, and Letang has it for Pittsburgh.
Sutter goes off the ice with a bloody nose. In the last power play for the Penguins, he took an elbow up around the chops.
Perron carries into the Winnipeg zone. He left it on the wall, nobody there. Lusso sent it ahead to Halishuk. On his off wing against Scuderi, centers it. Driving right to the net was Slater, and he's got really good speed, and they try to just set him up for a tap in like the one Thorburn scored.
Yeah, exactly. Really driving the net here. You can see all 4 lines for Winnipeg after taking the first period off. They've really come with a lot of speed in there. Got the legs moving here.
Here's Andrew Ebbett coming to the goal. He can't get around the defenseman Enstrom. Now Zach Bogosian. Ebbett got a stick in there on that as it comes up to the near side. Kunitz bumps his man, Peluso, who got the puck to Bogosian behind the goal. Bogosian keeps his feet moving to pull away from Andrew Ebbett. He got it out to center. Slater bumps Adams. Now the puck comes to Dupre, who finds Scuderi. Into the middle now for Craig Adams into the Winnipeg zone. Drop pass, and a shot by Andrew Ebbett is stopped with a blocker of Pavlik. Ebbett again now to Scuderi. To Ebbett, and a wrister steered away easily. Now Paul Martin moving up to the corner. Martin against Toby Enstrom. Sends it back to the point. Adams not a defenseman, covering for Martin. Has to find Chris Letang as an outlet, and Letang pressured back into his own zone by Andrew Ladd. Moves it ahead to Paul Martin. He and Adams get their signals crossed for a second there, but now Martin uses the net as his ally to get the puck out of his own zone. Over to Letang, and he'll come to center. Letang cuts right into the middle, surrounded by white jerseys. He's able to slip it down the boards for Steve Downey and jumped over his stick. Trouba in deep down playing it. Bufflin whacks at it. Gotch is there for Pittsburgh. It's Brian Little moving it ahead into the neutral zone for Blake Wheeler. Slips it behind Ehrhoff, but Bortuzzo over with good support. And now he's chased by Wheeler as he moves the puck up the middle to Marcel Gotch. Gotch swung it to the right wing off the skate of Downey. Thorburn goes the other way for Adam Lowry. Stepping up on him, Bortuzzo. Penguins able to clear it.
Big boys on the ice right now. Bufflin, Lowry, Thorburn, Trouba, and Kane.
Patrick Hornquist trying to get it down the boards. He does for Bennett. A backhand pass right through the slot, and Brandon Sutter was there, but he couldn't get a stick on it. And now Trouba puts it back to center. Penguins go right back into the Jet zone at Scuderi. Back in behind for Brandon Sutter. Hornquist goes to the front of the net. Sutter hit by Trouba. Hornquist over to the puck. Finds Sutter behind the net. Trouba on him. And a tough battle there. 2-on-2. Sutter there. But Lowry came out of the pack with it. He's able to lift it up to center. Adam Lowry, very impressive. Only 21 years old. He was involved in that playoff series I spoke of earlier. And we get an icing call against the Penguins. Paul Maurice was telling me today, Bob, that Adam Lowry is a lot like Brandon Sutter. Very smart player. He just gets it on those systems that they put in. On the latest edition of In the Room, followed David Perron on his arrival to Pittsburgh and his first visit to Consol Energy Center. You can hear Bobby Farnham mic'd up as the Penguins take on the Avalanche and much more. In the Room, Friday at 6 on Root Sports.
Now Smalling taking a face-off. He was 0 for 2 in the first period of play. Loses this one after a call that I thought was incorrect by the linesman. It looked like Smalling was going to get to the puck first.
Enstrom's shot blocked down, and now the Penguins come to center, and it's Kunitz right up the middle. Trying to get around Scheifele, but offside is called on the Penguins.
Well, it's heated up here a little bit in the second period of play. Winnipeg's come to play, as has Downey. He's not going to miss that check there on Harrison.
Well, it's no secret that the Winnipeg Jets are playing some good hockey as of late, and fans back in Manitoba are hoping that they can actually see a home playoff game for the first time since 1996. Some of the things of note going on back in 96, well, eBay was launched on the internet, gas was cheap, the Steelers reached the Super Bowl, the Avs won the Cup, Bob played for the Red Wings, and Paul and I had a healthy head of hair. Just 19 years ago. I miss it already, guys.
Good stuff, Danny. Good stuff.
Puck goes right to the goal and is frozen by Grice with Matthew Perreault hovering around the goal.
Yeah, he gave a little shower to Thomas Grice as he went in there. Mike Lego went over to said something to Matthew Perreault, who's been scoring more like Gilbert Perreault over the last while, Staggy. He's been hot.
He has been converted to a winger. He was a center by trade. Took the face off there, and now Ehrhoff backhands it off the boards and back out to center. And the way Adam Lowry, Bob, was a winger, and they converted him to center. He had been playing the wing, and the Winnipeg Jets felt it would be a good thing to try him at center when he was in the minors. And then when he was in junior, they told him to move to that position because they needed a big centerman. Boy, that was a good decision.
Big kid.
6'5". Now Downey steers the puck off the boards and back out to center. Zach Bogosian with it. Taken away by Arcobello and ahead to Downey. Downey with Spaulding. Enstrom defending against Downey with that incredibly long stick. Now Enstrom able to poke it up the boards. He took a hit there by Arcobello after getting it to center. And Letang banked it off the boards. Score is 1-1. The Penguins led 1-0 after one, but the Jets have bounced back with a goal from Chris Thorburn and had just come out of the penalty box when he scored. Nick Spaulding, the goal scorer for the Penguins. The Jets have the best road record of the NHL at 14-5-5. Or at least right up there in terms of winning percentage. Only the Ducks have a better one. Now it is taken by Letang, and he kind of gave it away to Sherratt to try to get it to the net. Now it's Kunitz. He's bumped from behind, but he's able to move the puck over to Letang. Long lead pass out of the reach of Perron, and an icing call against the Penguins.
We talked about Matthew Perreault and how he's heated up here since December 3rd. He's really got hot. On January 13th, 1, 2, 3, and he wasn't done. He picked up 4 goals in that game. He tied a franchise record. Did Matthew Perreault. And only Ovechkin has more goals, Staggy, than he does since December 3rd. So pretty good job there by Matthew Perreault.
Former Washington Capital. We saw a lot of his talents in games against the Caps, but he never scored a goal against the Penguins. Still has it. Shot by Trouba, stopped by Grice. And now Trouba again, who was drafted the same draft here in Pittsburgh as Olli Maatta. We got a battle here, Letang against 2 Jets.
Thorburn's in there, a couple of big bodies. Lowry's the other one, and Kane is the third one right out in front. And Letang has got hit in this game constantly, and that has to be kind of your recipe if you're the Winnipeg Jets. Your game plan coming in would be, hey, there's no Crosby, there's no Malkin. Who else can we take out here? We're a big physical team. We got to get our body work in somewhere. Letang just got hit against the Flyers. He's coming back from concussion. That's just the nature of the game, guys, and Letang has been a target. Thanks, Mike. You're in a battle here. They didn't come out, the Jets. They didn't have a good first period, but they're ready to play here.
Yeah, they're playing a little bit more of their game than you expected. We have to get out of our zone quicker. I thought in the first period we were really good at getting out of our zone. We had some little reverses there. We had some quick plays to our winger. We're getting hemmed in a little bit. Once we get it in their zone, that's where we want to play it down low against them.
Your center, Spaulding, Gotts, without Malkin and Crosby, a couple that have really come up big, at least in the first period.
Yeah, I thought they've been good, and we're asking them to support our Ds on those breakouts. And I thought they've been really good down low, making sure they're always an outlet for the guys.
That's right.
Thanks.
Letang still having a conversation with Thorburn in the penalty box after that little disagreement there near the Penguin net. And each of them has gone to the box. We've got 4-on-4 hockey right now, the Jets and the Penguins. And it's Perreault dropping it off. Shot by Kane is stopped by Grice. Kane has it again. Evander Kane out to the point of the shot by Trouba. He scores. He rattled that one in off the goalpost. Jacob Trouba with a rocket from way out by the blue line has given the Jets a 2-1 lead.
Yeah, on the 4-on-4 situation, after one chance by Kane, Byfuglien started the play behind the Penguins net once again, but Trouba right out there. There's Byfuglien. He's a defenseman acting like a forward, and then Kane shovels it back to Trouba, and through a screen you could see it went right by Patrick Hornquist. It went right by Robert Bortuzzo and the glove of Greiss in behind the netminder, and that's what he's got to look at right there. And I'm surprised he was able to react even knowing that it was coming to his glove side, but he waved the big glove up there, did get nothing but air.
The Jets 6-0-1 in their last 7 despite missing Jacob Trouba, one of their better players. This is his second game back after missing 16 with an injury. And you can see why he's so valuable to them. That was a great shot. Here's a shot by Andrew Ebbett, stopped by Pavlik.
And you really get carte blanche too. If you're a defenseman like Byfuglien, those 4-on-4s, you get active. And the Penguins, well, they have their active defenseman in the penalty box right now. It's not a good trade-off when Letang's in there with Thorburn. And not taking nothing away from Chris Thorburn, who scored his 5th goal in this hockey game. It's not good to have Letang there.
Here's Perron with it. One of his little patented moves where he drags the puck between his own skates. Gets it in deep, and Ebbett centered, but right onto the stick of Brian Little. And Little comes storming back. He leads them with 18 goals. He's hit by Ehrhoff, and then Byfuglien stepped up, and Andrew Ebbett hustling over to break up the pass, and they move it out to center, taken there by Kunitz. Kunitz comes ahead with Ehrhoff, 2-on-2. Looks for Ehrhoff going to the net, but Byfuglien had him tied up. One thing about Byfuglien, as Bob mentioned earlier, he was a forward and he is a D, so he's got a unique perspective on how to play the game. Here's Spaulding with it now, shooting, and a good glove save there by Pavlik. He's just able to get the glove on it. Spaulding looking dangerous again. Now Kunitz goes to work on the near side. Back out to the point, and Dupre to Kunitz. Kunitz across the ice for Ehrhoff. Back for Kunitz, closing in. He missed the goal. It just missed too as he fired to the glove side of Pavlik.
Wow, he shook his check, a nice give and go, and wow, he measured the shot up, couldn't find the cage.
Both teams back at full strength. Thorburn and Letang return to the ice. Scheifele centers for Thorburn going to the net. Pass went behind him, and now Chris Letang has it. Letang sends it around behind for Dupre, and now to Ehrhoff. 3 defensemen on the ice at the moment as the puck is iced by the Penguins, and that'll bring a face-off, and all those guys will have to stay on. So the Penguins will have 3 defensemen on the ice.
Well, the Penguins had 2 opportunities, one from Spaulding, another from Kunitz, unable to score on Pavlik, who made a couple saves. Our Super Bowl presented by Allegheny Health Network. And there's the second opportunity. Kunitz shaking his check with the give and go. Pavlik up to the top of the crease, and then you see Thorburn came out of the box. But that penalty box where the Jets are is closer to Greiss, so when he came out of the box, Letang couldn't catch him. He almost scored another goal coming out of the penalty box.
Enstrom shoots one. It's over the glove of Greiss, and Letang over to get it on the right wing. He's hit hard again. As finishing his check was Adam Lowry on Chris Letang. He really threw his body into Letang there, and you get a sense of how the Jets use that size to their advantage. They're throwing that body around here in the second period.
They're going to throw it against 58, as I said, every chance they can. That's a big hit. Lowry actually went low to make sure that he hit Letang right in that shoulder. He's a bigger guy. He didn't want to jump up, and Letang was able to absorb that check. But they certainly have a target on his back. Or he is a target on his back.
Well, they painted one too. There's no doubt about it. 5:05 to go here in the second period, and the Jets have taken a 2-1 lead after trailing 1-0 in the game. In their last 13 road games, the Jets have acquired 20 out of a possible 26 points. It's ironic because we thought that they were really a team that had a unique home ice advantage with that new arena in Winnipeg, but they have a better road record than home record. There's a good shot by Kane right off the toe of Greiss. Kane trying to get to his own rebound, but the Penguins move it out to center. Now Paul Martin with it in the neutral zone. Trying to get it going north. But Enstrom finds Lowry. And across now for Anthony Peluso. Pulls up against Bortuzzo. Following on is Evander Kane. Kane to the corner. Bortuzzo keeping an eye on him. He moved it behind the net to Peluso on his backhand. Paul Martin flushing him up the near wall. Over to help out is Arcabello, and he'll just dump it to the opposite side of the rink where Bortuzzo gets over. He had to really hustle to get over there to get that puck out. Now it's Trouba with it. Trouba skating well to center. Dumps it to the corner. Bortuzzo goes back to get it. Pokes it along for Paul Martin. Martin's lead pass over the stick of Andrew Ebbett.
Well, you really really see what Trouba brings to the game, Staggy. 9th overall in his draft year, 2012. Really good skater.
Bertuzzo snaps it up the right wing. Ebbett comes over for support, carries into the zone. He's got Sill going to the net. Here he is. Then it went right off his leg, I think, and then wide of the goal as he was defended going to the goal. Now from the point, the shot by Dupre is blocked. Dupre gets his own rebound and backhands it to the corner. Sill in after against Ben Sherratt. Now it's Dustin Byfuglien. Byfuglien gave it away, just lollipopped the puck right to where Dupre could get a hold of it. Moves it out to the point. Taken there by Adams and over to Scuderi. A shot. And that hit a man in front. Loose in the slot. Still pinballing around. Ebbett trying to get a hold of it. Halishchuk goes down. Adams with a shot, and he kind of fanned on it, and it took off on him over the goal. But Dupre comes over to keep the play alive for the Penguins. Doing a good job here. Sustained pressure. In behind the net now. Andrew Ebbett with it. Ebbett brings it up high. Throws it to the net, and it's blocked. Dustin Byfuglien, the man who blocked it, and he's got it and moves it on the right wing to Peluso. Has been out here a long time. Scuderi steps up on him, and the Jets continue to be bottled up in their own zone. Finally, they just ice the puck. And Byfuglien, the man who iced it, and all those guys who just ran around for a long time are going to have to stay on the ice. Maybe Paul Maurice will call a timeout. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, he's got to call a timeout, does he not? Yeah, he's got to call it. You only get one, and yes, Mike Lego makes the call, and no choice there for the man in the glasses, Paul Maurice, the head coach.
We invite you to relive a memorable game from the Pirates 2014 season Monday nights on Pirates Playback. The series continues as Gregory Polanco collects 5 hits, including a late game home run to help lift the Pirates over the Marlins on June 13th. See this unforgettable game again on Pirates Playback Monday at 9 on Root Sports.
Well, that's a pretty good streak. 6-0-1 in the last 7, 5-game win streak. 29-16 the goal production versus the goals against, and that was an easy timeout call for Paul Maurice. He had to do it. Everybody was just exhausted.
Crosby and Malkin, Bob, have combined for 91 points against this franchise. And they're not in the lineup tonight. Paul Maurice has got to be happy about that. I'm sure the Penguins have...
But the Penguins had Craig Adams, Stag. He's got 8 goals in his career against the Winnipeg Jets.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't notice that. That's a good stat. That's the stat of the night. There's Hornquist. Tips it along for Bo Bennett, who looks back. Bennett lost his edge, and then gets back up as the puck is dumped in behind the net. Hornquist getting in there after it. Sherratt gets his feet moving to work the puck out the center. Now it's the Penguins with it. Brandon Sutter settles it down, banks it off the boards. Didn't get it through. Has to go back to Letang. Back up to Sutter. Sutter dumps it in. And you can see the Jets are finishing their checks now. The Penguins looking over their shoulders every time they release the puck because they know somebody's coming. And now Ehrhoff takes it at his own line. Over to Letang. Lead pass tipped in by Bo Bennett. He gets in there against Zach Bogosian. Bogosian got it up the wall to Andrew Ladd. Now across to Tobias Enstrom, and he'll drive the puck into the Penguin zone. Blake Wheeler over to get it. Dupre bumps him. Spalling to the puck. To Scuderi. 1:34 to go in the second period. Penguins were behind 2-0 to the Hawks. It came back and were able to gain a point in that game in a shootout loss. The last 2 games have been shootout losses to Philadelphia and Chicago. Now taking it in his own zone is Perron. And Bogosian shoots it. It hits the side of the net. Scuderi over to play it. And he gave it right to Adam Lowry. In the slot, a shot by Kane was blocked by Dupre. Dupre just threw his body into Kane, but following on to get it is Thorburn. And out to the point now for Bogosian. His wrist shot is blocked. And now it's the Penguins who are bottled up in their zone. Enstrom over to the corner for Rob Scuderi. Scuderi looks for Kunitz, and his direct pass is received. And then Kunitz just able to dump the puck softly into the Jet zone.
Great block by Dupre on Evander Kane.
Perreault flying into the Penguin zone. Poke check by Dupre as he tried to pull the trigger. Back around now for Paul Martin. 31 seconds to go in the period. Frolik dumps it in. Someone's used the glass to try to get it out, but Trouba, good play to keep it in, and his shot deflected just wide of the goal. Over to get it is Jay Harrison. He dumps it behind the Penguin net. And it's It's lifted by Marcel Gotch out to center, taken by Steve Downey. Downey has a man driving to the net, Arcobello. Instead, he finds Letang, a shot. Save made, rebound, score! Steve Downey buries the rebound.
The Jets wanted too many men on the ice. Call here. Letang jumped on the ice a little bit early. Just enough to get himself free. There's Dupre coming off. There's Letang touching the puck. He got a good head start. I got to give him that much. And Letang coming off the bench for Dupre is able to put it off the pads for Downey. And Downey puts in the rebound. The Penguins score with 4.6 left in Winnipeg. Andrew Ladd, the captain, is talking right now to Lego. Can't believe there wasn't a too many men on the ice call against the Pittsburgh Penguins. It was a good head start, I got to tell you, by Chris Letang, and Dupre got himself just to the bench when he touched the puck.
Funny how things go. Remember what happened at the end of the Flyers game where the Penguins had too many men on the ice, penalty called against them. The Flyers were able to score, and a power play goal by Claude Giroux. Well, now the Penguins maybe get a little break here as Letang got off the bench a little bit early. A heavy shot, a big rebound for Steve Downey, who now has goals in consecutive games. With Downey comes up big when he has to, doesn't he? He's got the quick hands, Bob.
He does. He's good around the net. That's where you score the goals on the rebounds in this game, this new NHL. And Downey's able to get himself free, and that was a huge goal. Huge.
Huge. Let's go to Robin J.
Stuggy Bob, thanks very much. Straight ahead in the second intermission report brought to you by Mercedes-Benz. Dan Potash is going to catch up with Steve Downey. Jay will give you his thoughts on the third period as well as his telestration. All that and more coming up next on the second intermission report brought to you by Mercedes-Benz with the Jets and the Penguins tied at 2 after 2. Penguins had a lead, then the Jets had a lead. Now we're all tied after 2. We've had a fight, lots of action. In case you're just joining us, here is what you've missed.
This is Perron again. Perron dangling, scores! He centered it right in front. Drilled into the net by Nick Spaulding. Adam Lowry on the left wing. He's got Thorburn going to the net. He scores! Chris Thorburn just driving to the goal. Vander Kane up to the point of the shot by Trouba. He scores! He rattled that one in off the goalpost. Downey has a man driving to the net. Arcobello instead. He finds Letang, a shot. Save made, rebound, score! Steve Downey buries the rebound. How about this game so far, Bob? 46 hits for the Jets, 35 for the Penguins. It's been a physical Western Conference style game so far.
Yeah, it really has. And a guy like Chris Letang is taking a beating. The focus is on him. He's got that target on his back, and they've gone after him. But before that, he was able to get the Penguins on the board with an assist to 200 of his career. And then he got a puck off his hand. He got hit from behind. He got a scrap after that. He got tied up with Thorburn. Ladd gave him a little bit of a bang, as did Lowry. And then he kind of changed a little bit early with 5 seconds left in that second period of play. He was able to jump on, get that great quick shot on the net for that pass off the pads, rebound to Downey's taggy. So he's played 14, almost 15 minutes. Nobody's played more. Chris Letang, very visible.
So now a 2-2 tie going to the third period. And the Jets riding a long winning streak. The Penguins in the throes of a 4-game winless streak. A couple of overtime losses that gain a couple of points in there. But they'd really love to get a win here at home for the home fans after losing in the shootout to the Hawks and losing to the Rangers in the game before that. So let's see if the Penguins can muster it up here without the presence of Crosby. There's Wheeler reaching for a puck, and it's just out of his reach, and Greiss calmly moved it over to Letang, to Martin, and up the middle now. Byfuglien fumbles the puck for a moment. Now Sherratt has no stick. He kicks it, and Andrew Ladd able to get to it and work it back out to center.
Hornquist knocked the stick out of the hands of Sherratt way away from the play. Nobody would have saw it. It was a sneaky little play, but almost resulted in a chance for the Penguins.
Sutter now. He just wandered off his stick, and Ladd moves it into the middle to Wheeler, and he'll drive it to the net. And the blocker save made by Greiss. Marc-Andre Fleury will play tomorrow night against the Washington Capitals. Here's Bortuzzo with it to center. We will not be carrying that game on Root Sports. That's a rivalry night game, an 8 o'clock start for the Penguins. And we'll be on the air again Friday night from New Jersey. Shot by Lowry, scores. Adam Lowry rifles one in off the post.
Yep.
And boy, he was in good scoring position when he let that shot go.
Well, this is really interesting. Kane floated it up in the air like a quarterback. Thorburn played it with his glove, was able to knock it down. The Penguins gave him enough time to knock it down and play the puck. Here's the high flip. Watch Thorburn. He flags it down. It would have been great to see the Penguins stand up on Thorburn right away so he could not play the puck. They back off, and the puck ends up onto the stick of Lowry, and he snaps it by that screen. Look at the flex in the stick. Wow. As that goes blocker side. A really good shot for Lowry, the big man, 6'5". And for Lowry, that's his 6th of the season. Thorburn gets another assist. He's got the goal, he's got the assist. Thorburns a fight away from the Gordie Howe.
And he looked like Brandon Sutter a bit there when he pulled that trigger, a left-handed version. Sutter, of course, has picked his spot many occasions for the Penguins. That was a nice shot by Adam Lowry to give the Jets the lead early in the third. So that goal that Downey got late in the second erased. The Jets right back in business here, leading by 1 early in the third period. Now Trouba with it to the right side. Puck back to center ice. Trouba will take it at his own line. To Jay Harrison. He's hit the neutral zone by Zach Sill, who was rocked in reverse there. And now the centering pass into the middle for Ebbett. He shoots one off a leg. Ebbett gets to the loose puck for Sill. He tried to sneak one in, but Pavlik hugging the post made the save, and the Jets just clear it back to center ice. Adam Lowry was born in Florida when his dad was playing for the Florida Panthers. There's a hit by Sill on Harrison. Ebbett follows on that good solid body check by Sill, forcing the turnover. Then the Letang shot blocked down in front. And over to the puck goes Ebbett. To the corner now for Adams. The Penguins go right back to work. Now to Letang, to Andrew Ebbett. Ebbett up top now to Paul Martin. Martin skating nicely, finds Andrew Ebbett his shot, and that hit a man in front. And Anthony Peluso to the puck. Peluso down the wing is bumped by Paul Martin, and then by Letang. Peluso, though, able to wrap the puck around to the near side. Out to the point it goes to Sherratt, and his shot off the stick of Ladd over to the corner. Bo Bennett gets to it. The stick breaks, it was slashed, and there will be a penalty.
Well, the Penguins' fourth line, once again, they did it in the second period, they did it again here in the third. Got great momentum for the Penguins. It's going to be a slash against the Jets as Wheeler goes to the box. Penguins are going to go on the power play. Another great shift for Ebbett, Adams, and Sill. And then Wheeler takes the penalty as the stick of Bennett is snapped in two.
Well, Paul Maurice just talked today about certain penalties they want to be able to take, and ones they're willing to take, and ones they don't like. And that's one I would think he wouldn't like. Taking a penalty in the offensive zone. Blake Wheeler putting the Penguins back on the power play. The UPMC Sports Medicine power play, and the puck is poked back into the Penguins zone. Penguins are 0 for 1. They got registered no shots on their first chance. Hornquist steers the puck into the Jet zone. Sutter gets in there first. Tapped it to the corner. Bo Bennett after it now. Bennett, Sutter working the corner. Hornquist out here as well. And the Jets able to clear. Ladd and Little go to the bench. Interesting that Ladd and Little, two of their top offensive players, are killing penalties for the Jets.
Yeah, you got
now
Kane,
you got Kane out there with Lowry.
And Wheeler'd be out there. Earlier was Kane and Wheeler, but Wheeler's in the box right now. Another offensive player.
They're second in the league with 7 shorthanded goals.
There you go.
Here's Bo Bennett. He dumps the puck to the corner, and Arcabello in after it. Let it go through. It comes to Paul Martin. Back for Arcabello. Up the wall now for Hornquist. Hornquist to the puck. Shoots it. Kicked away by Pavlik. Martin pounces on the rebound in the corner. But the Jets able to get it out. Kane fired it and went off the skate of Arcabello, taken by Letang. 42 seconds ago on the penalty. Letang lugs it to center ice. He moves it to the right side of Perron, who drops it off to Kunitz. Now to Letang, closing in. He shoots it in the save. Maybe don't score. Perron somehow jammed it in.
are going to talk about this, guys. The puck may have been underneath Pavlik. As Perron went in there, the referee at the goal line called it a goal. The referee up at center ice said, hey, that puck might have been underneath the netminder. Let's take a look at this. Letang with a hitch and a shot. Now where's the puck? It's between the legs of Pavlik, and Perron plays to the whistle, and he just comes in there with the pickle stabber and jams it in behind Pavlik.
And then he took a beating from Trouba after he scored.
They're going to want to know, did he just push the goaltender's pads in? Did he touch the puck? And the referee, you can see him at the goal line pointing in goal. The referee out at the center ice came in right away and said something to the other official. And let's see what happens. Kunitz was over for a while. They just want to make sure that when the stick went between his legs that he made contact with the puck, I believe, Steggy. And I believe they got
well, there certainly seemed to be a lot on that. I mean, it looked like he propelled the puck into the net with some force. Yep. Because it went squirting in there between the legs and right back out. Look at that.
Yep. You got it right where you had to. You talk about digging, playing to the whistle, paying a price to score a goal. All those things for David Perron. Really good stuff there as the Penguins tied up on 3.
6 goals for Perron in 9 games with the Penguins. 5 goals for Perron in 11 games against the Jets.
Boy, he just didn't want to be denied.
Paul Martin moves it to the right wing to Downey, and he shoots it long on Pavlik, and he'll freeze it. Andre Pavlik continues to have issues allowing goals for the Penguins. His goals against coming in 2.47. And against Pittsburgh, 4.21.
So Letang gets another assist there. That high shot up off the shoulder area, and then it drops down between the pads of Pavlik, and Perron's able to get in there with his stick and put the puck in.
You look around the league, and I would imagine that there probably isn't another player in the league who was traded who has done what David Perron has done for the Penguins in his first 8 games.
Jim Rutherford said he wanted to get in on that Perron sweepstakes early. He likes to make the move, have the player become acclimated to the situation, to the town, to his teammates, to the system.
This is his 9th game with the Penguins, and he has been everything he was hoped to be and more. Now the puck is held in by Lowry, sent it down the wall, then thrown to the net, steered away by Grice. Thorburn sent it behind the net to Kane. Now for Lowry, and the cycle is on now, but Hornquist will break that up and push the puck back up into the Jet zone. Goshen looked to pass the puck to the left wing to Wheeler, who's been kind of quiet tonight. Now Little hopping into the Penguins zone. Good shot, a blocker save made by Grice. Big hit on the near wall by Ladd as he dumped Zach Sill into the board. Now it's Little right down the middle with 4 black jerseys around him. He tried to drop it off. One of those black jerseys, Zach Sill, but he gave it away, and a quick shot by Bufflin, and fought off by Grice. Down in the corner to Wheeler, and he centers one off the stick of Bortuzzo, and it skips off that stick and up into the seats on the far side.
Well, you're going to have to pay a price in this league if you want to score goals. Take a look at Perron, and there's a cross check to his back. Then he shoves it over. Then a cross check to the head. And then the stick. Trouba's stick right around the neck of Perron. Wow. Undetected until now. You see the mark on the side of the neck. Well, the power play got on the ice for Pittsburgh. Wheeler took the slashing penalty on Bennett, but it was a shift prior to that from Sill, Adams, and Ebbett that really generated some energy for the Penguins after they had gone down 3-2.
The Grinders have done their job the last couple of games, for sure, here on home ice. Big hit in the neutral zone by Bortuzzo as he rattled Scheifele on the near wall. And now it's taken deep in his own zone by Jay Harrison. Lead pass comes through to Bortuzzo, who dumps it to the Winnipeg line. And he trade possession in the neutral zone, and Bortuzzo finally is able to find Hornquist. Shoots it wide, actually off the stick of Pavlik, and taken now by Trouba. Jacob Trouba slows the play down, moves it along for Harrison, and out now for Slater. The Penguins backing off in the neutral zone right now as Anthony Peluso dumps the puck into the Penguin zone. To the near wall, Spalling just able to get a blade on it to direct it back to neutral ice. They go D to D. Toby Enstrom with it now. Moves it to the left wing, and it's dumped into the Penguin zone.
Delayed offside.
And Peluso backing off now as the Penguins' Perron comes with the puck and wheels it off the boards to center ice. Taken now by Enstrom, and he'll dump it right back into the Penguin zone. Perron back to get it. And
High stick
on the puck. So we'll take a break. David Perron with another goal. His 6th as a Penguin, ties it at 3. Day Automotive brings you a great day for hockey. How about a couple of penalty shots in one game? On this date in 04.
Ryan Holzinger and Dan Boyle. And no goals there. No goals against Marc-Andre Fleury, who's taking the night off tonight. Going to see him tomorrow after making another All-Star appearance.
Those are some of the darker days in Penguins history back in 04. Downey just fell down off the draw and lost his stick in the process. Now it is taken by Thorburn, who whacks it back down to the corner. Big hit down there, and Gotch, he's bumped off the puck. It was Dupre who threw that thundering check down there in the corner. Another collision in the neutral zone between Downey and Lowry. Now Downey emerges with a puck down the wing. He's got a man in front. He couldn't get it through to Arcapello, but battle on the near wall. The puck up for grabs. Kane able to work it along now for Thorburn. Thorburn to center ice was checked closely there by Arcapello. And another hit as Lowry dumps a Penguin right in front of the Winnipeg Jets bench. And then Thorburn went down. And then it was Downey who got hit hard by Lowry, and he's hurting too.
He's holding his right side is Downey, and Lowry came across, and Downey was in a vulnerable position.
And he looks like he's struggling with that right shoulder a little bit. And then Lowry, he throws his weight around, and that was a hit right in front of the Winnipeg bench.
And Downey had come in contact early in the shift with Lowry in the neutral zone. Take a look. Lowry saw him coming. Downey went down there. Downey and Thorburn, and then Lowry came across, and
Nice chance. Penguins around.
there's the hit. So we got a little bit of hatred going on now here between the two benches in a 3-3 hockey game. A charge against Adam Lowry, and the Penguins with a chance to go up. Another power play opportunity. Perron just scored one.
Winnipeg penalty for number 17, Adam Lowry.
That might be a penalty that Paul Maurice is willing to take. He wants his team to be physical. Centering pass, Sutter, it goes in! Deflected into the doorstep by Hornquist. And the Penguins lead it 4-3. It's a power play goal. And so much for that penalty being one that Paul Maurice would like.
That didn't take very long. Great transition for the Penguins. Take a look how they get back on side with speed. Everybody curling, get to the line, take the hit to make the play. And once again, Pavlik unable to seal things off as that puck rides up the stick, over his shoulder, down his back. Take a look at that. Beautiful stuff. And look who's digging in front, Hornquist. It was Perron on the last goal. Hornquist jabbing away here. And there's a look at the numbers you mentioned earlier, Staggy. Pavlik's numbers against the Penguins, they're poor.
I know some coaches might not look at what goalies do against certain teams, but I would think you'd have to. You'd have to take that into consideration with Pavlik. Paul Maurice was thinking more about what Pavlik's done lately for him. He's been rotating his goaltenders, but if it had been me, I never would have started him here tonight against Pittsburgh. He played pretty well in Winnipeg earlier this year. Here's a shot by Perron, but still, he's been horrible here in Pittsburgh. This is more of an example of what we're talking about, and the Penguins will take what he's given them, although, seriously, that was a good effort by Hornquist. He gets right on the doorstep. That's how he scores his goals. Shot now by Sherratt wide of the goal off the glass. Taken now by Enstrom as he works it in deep. And Frolik brings it up high. And then Kunitz is able to lift it back to center ice where it'll be taken at the blue line. So the Penguins just continue to battle back against the Jets.
Well, you give him a chance. Couple of power play markers without Crosby and Malkin. Penguins just get the puck to the net. I don't know if Hornqvist touched it or not, but he was there hacking away just as Perron was on the Penguins' third goal.
Paul Martin on his backhand works it down into the corner. The other goalie for the Jets who's done so well is Michael Hutchinson. He's 14-4-2 with a 1.90 goals against average at a .935 save percentage. He has started 21 games, or appeared in 21, and Pavlik, this is his 31st.
And Downey's back on the bench for Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's got to watch this change and not touch the puck.
Trouba takes the pass on his backhand, trying to get it to the net on the forehand, and it comes to the Penguins. Bob, you suppose Downey may have suffered a stinger there just by the way he was reacting, because
either that or he just lost his wind. He just
that could be
lost
too.
his wind.
Yep, and he went backwards into the boards. Now it is Kane with it at center ice, and Lowry trying to glove the puck ahead. I was concerned that maybe Downey had hurt his shoulder the way his right arm was dangling, but thank goodness he's back on the bench. There's a shot by Byfuglien long on Greiss. He makes the save, and Scuderi sent it around for Dupré. Up the wall, where Bo Bennett came over to confront Byfuglien, and the puck goes by everybody back into the Winnipeg zone.
Well,
a lot of time left in this game. Go ahead, Bob.
I was going to say, they're going to be coming. I was going to say, echo your sentiments. They're not going anywhere. This is going to be a tough 10 minutes for Pittsburgh.
Arcabello with it now, moves it into the middle and carried down by Zach Sill to center, and Sill will dump it up into the Jet zone. Bogosian around for Enstrom. And up the boards it comes for Perreault. To Frolik. He finds Scheifele busting into the Penguin zone. His shot hit Ehrhoff. The puck or the stick came up and got him, and now a lead pass into the middle for Gotch is broken up.
I think it was the stick of Scheifele rode up the shaft of Ehrhoff and flipped him on the chin.
Bogosian able to get to center and dump it into the Penguin zone, and Letang goes back to get it. Here comes Blake Wheeler on him. Letang dodged that check. And now the puck off is sticking up into the seats on the far side. Well, we've had Perron scoring from Letang and Kunitz, Hornqvist from Sutter and Martin, and it's a 4-3 Penguins lead. Subway sandwich of the game time.
There it is, Chris Kunitz. Tobias Enstrom went down. After that, big hit. And I'm right here in front of me. That was our Subway sandwich. I'm looking at Byfuglien. It's a two-piece stick he has. He's got the white shaft. He's got the blue blade, Staggy. I thought maybe it was just kind of colored blue there earlier, but it's a two-piece configuration. Maybe that's why he didn't win the hardest shot. You got to go with the technology.
I think one of the big things is, and here's a shot, he didn't keep his shot low. And if it stays lower to the ice, it registers at a higher speed. This shot was kind of high. And the winner of that hardest shot contest, shooting the puck at 108 miles an hour, was Shea Weber. He did keep it low, as Zdeno Chara has done in the past. And he's won that contest. A lead pass for Hornqvist, reaching around Sherratt, shooting, and a save by Pavlik. And he just got a piece of that. Good play by Hornqvist.
Boy, I love the way he used his body, Staggy, to protect that puck. Sherratt was just pounding on his back.
Hornqvist is dragging himself back to the bench. You can tell he's still trying to find his conditioning level here. He had one practice yesterday, a morning skate today. So it's really remarkable that he's even in the game yet. 8 minutes to go in this period. The Penguins leading 4-3. 2 power play goals for Pittsburgh. And they were meat and potatoes kinds of goals, too, with the man advantage. No fancy stuff, just getting the puck to the net. Now here's Enstrom with it down the wall. He shoots it. And it's off a stick, and Adam Lowry goes to get it in the corner. Now behind the net for Evander Kane. Kane dancing on his skates, centered off the skate of Lowry, and then cleared by the Penguins. It'll be coming right to the goal. And the Penguins are able to change as a result of that. Toby Enstrom leaves it there for Bogosian. The Penguins have done a good job in the neutral zone in this game, and the Jets have tried to get to center ice. A lot of black jerseys.
Over 100 hits in this hockey game right now. It's got to be the high water mark for the season.
Arcapella moved it into the middle, taken by Marcel Gosch. Gosch shoots it. A good save by Pavlik as he backed Trouba up, and then another turning shot. Dupre is stopped by Pavlik. And now carrying it to center ice is Scheifele. Scheifele comes down the wall. Dupre goes back to get it. Bumped by Frolik. He tried to protect the puck and centered and cleared away. The Penguins protecting the house and moving it out to center. Trouba back to get it. Adams all over him. He's able to dump the puck off the boards to center ice. Now the Jets come with speed, and it's Matthew Perreault. Drops it off for Scheifele, and there's Bortuzzo. Good stick to knock it away from him. Back around near wing for Matthew Perreault. Behind the net. Bortuzzo went crashing in there around Peluso. They hard on him to keep him from getting control of the puck. Now it's kicked up the wall and comes off the stick to Bufflin, who centers. A bouncing puck finally hauled in by Craig Adams, and he comes to center, dumps it up into the Jet zone and gets in after it. Peluso shoots him back to the puck, over to Trouba. Jacob Trouba up the wing now for Perreault. Long shift for these guys. They got to get off. And Evan has the puck. The hand pass is called here. And we'll take a break.
Well, the Penguins 8-0-1 in the last 9 without Malkin and Crosby. Winnipeg's give it their best shot so far, and the Penguins, they have 4 on the board.
With the score, Pittsburgh 4 and Winnipeg 3. A reminder as you enjoy a cold one to look forward to Miller time later in the game, brought to you by Miller Lite.
Well, he's got a cold one on his mask there. The abominable snowman going against the Winnipeg Jets here tonight. And he's trying to...
It's a Winnipeg type of night out there in the city of Pittsburgh. Maybe not as cold as we'll see up there in Winnipeg, but lots of snow.
53 hits for the Penguins. That is a high water mark. They had 54 back in 2011 against Buffalo. The high this year, the New York Islanders 59. So it has been hard hitting the first game back from the All-Star break.
Yeah, they're making up for all the hits they didn't throw in the All-Star game. Dupre, Bortuzzo, and Sill all have 6 hits. Peluso and Ladd each have 6 for the Jets. Stay tuned after the game tonight for the latest Inside Penguins hockey. On this episode, you can meet assistant coach Gary Agnew's daughter, who's a soccer player at Ohio State. Go behind the scenes to see how Brandon Sutter gets his teammates pumped up before a game and much more. Inside Penguins hockey tonight after postgame on Root Sports. There's a gentleman there, Gary Agnew, with a very nice family, as you'll see on Inside Penguins hockey. Now here's Dupre trying to poke it out to center. Taken there by Sherratt, who dumps it to the right wing corner. Scuderi there. Send it up the wing now for Kunitz. And Kunitz tried to dump it behind Bufflin. And the Jets are pretty solidly in that 7th wild card spot, or first wild card spot, 7th place position in the Western Conference for the playoffs. Folks in Winnipeg haven't seen playoffs since '96, as Dan Potash pointed out, but the franchise did make the playoffs once when they were in Atlanta. Now the puck is sent the length of the ice, and that is an icing call. Meanwhile, the Penguins have won 13 consecutive games against the Jets and Thrashers in Pittsburgh. Wow. There's the anatomy of a winning streak right there.
Well, that man in net, Pavlik, hasn't held the fort. He's 0-6 in his career in Pittsburgh with a .579 goals against in Pittsburgh, and hasn't looked good here in this third period. But the Penguins have got bodies to the net, and that's been the difference.
I think Paul Maurice did, though. He told Pavlik to get in better shape, and he worked harder. He looked good, I thought, in that game. They're going to give Sutter the credit on that 4th goal instead of Hornquist. As you pointed out, Bob, you weren't sure he got that one. But Pavlik has been a better goalie this year for the most part. Just against the Penguins, he has his problem. Here's Ladd with it now. Into the Penguin zone. Works to the right wing. And will stop by Little off a stick and up into the netting. And as we promised just a moment ago, it's Miller time, brought to you by Miller Lite.
Let's take a look at these 2 goals. Power plays in the third period. David Perron. Sutter gets credit for that, with Hornquist taking a beating in front. And the Penguins go up in a heavy hitting affair. And Letang has been banged around in this hockey game, but he keeps going. He scored a goal with 4.5 seconds left in the second period off a quick change, if you will, when he got himself on the ice.
Penguins had a tough game here against the Rangers, Bob. Shot by Bogosian is blocked. Turning shot by Perreault is blocked. And you said in Philadelphia, after all that shenanigans we saw there, that might have been something that was good for the team, ultimately, the way that game went. Do you still feel that way?
Oh, definitely. You can see the way they played in Chicago after that. The coaches talked about it. You know, when the coach gets into it and said that could be a rallying kind of point for our team. I love the way we bonded together. Remember, that was coming off a couple of poor performances. So,
yep, the Penguins responded just as they wanted them to, and they climbed into the foxhole against the Flyers, and then played a real solid game against the Hawks. And they've come out here and played a physical game, going to the net. Here's Kane with it now. He lost control of it, and it's taken by Bo Bennett the other way. And the Penguins identified that as kind of a theme for this season, to get to the net more, get to the dirty areas. And you've seen Perron do it. You've seen Hornquist do it. And there's Bo Bennett hit in the corner. Steve Downey scoring on a rebound from right in front at the end of the second period.
Thorburns played a lot in this hockey game. He's been effective with a goal and assist, and they got him out here. Maurice does late in the game.
He plays on that third line with Lowry and Kane. Pretty good third line for the Jets. Here's Sutter, though, carrying it the other way into the Winnipeg zone. Goes to the left wing to Bennett. Bennett couldn't do much with it as Trouba took it away, and he goes back now for the Jets to center. Jacob Trouba surrounded by black jerseys with Kane following in behind. Trouba throws it across the rink. He got it to Little, who works it back now to Enstrom and over to Trouba. Fans on the shot and a breakaway opportunity for Perron. He doesn't have blinding speed. Enstrom challenges him. He shoots it, and a save by Pavlik. And again, Pavlik had that puck between his pads, and the way things have gone with pucks coming between those pads into the net, I'm not sure he was totally confident he had control of that puck.
Well, Perron working at the blue line with the pressure, is able to turn that puck over in straight line. Enstrom trying to cut him off, and he took as much ice as he could from our Super Mo presented by Allegheny Health Network. He went about as far as he could, did David Perron, before the long stick of Toby Enstrom was going to get in there.
Letang back on the ice for the Penguins, has 4 assists tonight. From the draw, Pavlik making the save and Enstrom protecting the puck. Jets are running out of time now, 2:25 to go. We'll be watching for Pavlik to come out of the net here. Bogosian gets to center and shot it right off the leg of Perron. It goes to the corner. Paul Martin back to get it. The one player who's so dangerous is Blake Wheeler. We haven't seen much from him tonight. Kunitz swept it aside. Now Wheeler with a shot and a save made by Grice. And Letang moves it up the wing and it's taken by Kunitz, and he banks it ahead to center. Here's Bogosian with it now. Zach Bogosian. 3rd overall in 2008, a year when a lot of defensemen were selected. Letang moves it up the boards. Turning shot stopped by Grice. A good one there. As a Frolik pulls the trigger, and now back into his own zone goes Trouba. Down to 1:34 to go in the game. Pavlik's going to be looking at the bench. Scheifele, big boy, he shoots it off the right wing boards right to Ehrhoff. Now to Adams, who tried to get it to center. Andrew Ebbets on the ice.
Net's empty.
It is empty as Pavlik has gone off. And the shoot in by Trouba goes all the way around the horn. And over to get it is Evander Kane. The Penguins take it away, though. Ehrhoff looks at the empty net and shoots it wide. And that'll be an icing call against the Penguins.
Well, he decided to go for that empty net. Chris Letang's got 4 assists in the hockey game. He accomplished that in 2013 against the Montreal Canadiens. He is our McDonald's player of the game.
What a night, Bob. Consider the physical nature of the game and the way he took a beating early in the game, and they come up with 4 assists coming off that hit by Zach Rinaldo. You're concerned about his health. And comes up with 4 assists in the game.
In the absence of Crosby and Malkin, you needed that, and a big-time player, Chris Letang, does come up big. Let's see if he's got one more in him as he jumps on the ice.
Toby Enstrom sends it up the wing. And it's an icing call against the Jets, and they'll have to bring their goaltender off the bench.
Chris Letang now has 24 points in his career when Malkin and Crosby are not in the lineup. 24 points in those games. Wow. And you think of other offensive guys that can get involved in a game like that, like this, without those type of players. And Yeah, Chris Letang, you can't forget about the defenseman.
Here's Hornquist. And it's taken away by the Jets. Now Pavlik skating to the bench. He goes off and they get the extra attacker on. The puck comes right to the stick of Letang. Letang will hang on to it, move it along for Paul Martin. And he'll send it up the wing, and Hornquist is the only man up ice. He's going to go get it. Hornquist trying to dump it in, and he does! Patrick Hornquist shuts the door.
You know, I got to tell you, this is one heck of a smart play by Paul Martin. He knew Hornquist was in front of everybody. Letang to Martin. Now Martin can't make the direct pass to Hornquist, but he knows it's not icing because Hornquist is going to win the race to the dot. And he wins the race to the puck and puts it in for a little bonus. Give Chris Letang 5 assists in the hockey game. But you talk about a heads-up play by Paul Martin. Just a smart hockey player.
And there's the goal for Patrick Hornquist. He didn't get the one earlier, but he gets that one. So that'll make him feel good in his return after missing 11 games.
Big win for this hockey team. It really is. Coming back from the break to get it done here tonight without 87 and 71. This is huge. Remember, Fleury's not playing the All-Star netminder.
Penguins are now 9-0-1 in the last 10 games without Crosby and Malkin in the lineup. Amazing. This was a great team win again here tonight.
5 assists for that man, Chris Letang, who came in with 199 in his career, in 204 in that category. And the Penguins erase their mini losing streak.
So Sutter scored his 10th goal of the season. Hornquist picks up his 14th goal of the season from Martin and Letang in 1932 into the empty net, and 5 assists for Chris Letang here tonight. And that means he figured in on all 5 goals. Let's go to Robin Jay. Even I can figure that out.
Yeah, well done. Good math, Steige, and we'll look forward to talking to Steige Bob in a little bit. And Jay, some other math. The Penguins had won 5 in a row against Winnipeg. They kind of limped into the All-Star break, though. The Jets, meanwhile, best road team in the NHL. They'd won 5 in a row, so a nice win here for the Penguins to begin this post-All-Star break portion of the schedule.
A big win. You come in, all 4 lines, when they get on the ice, they worked hard. They played the game with a purpose, if you will. Always driving, putting the pressure on Winnipeg, and they had to go against a team that played the game physical and played it hard as well. Defense, they were solid in front, blocking shots. Look, good job all the way around. A big win. Hornquist back makes a difference.
All right, the Penguins win by the final score of 5-3. They pick up the victory against the Winnipeg Jets. Coming up next on Penguins post-game show, Jay Caulfield will tell us straight. He will have highlights. We will have highlights for you. Post-game reaction and a look forward to tomorrow night's game against the Washington Capitals. That and more coming up next on Penguins post-game.